What's going on? It's Suk and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech. In today's video, I shall be reviewing the 2021 entry iPad. I have already uploaded videos testing and comparing this iPad's performance to other devices, along with showing what its cameras are capable of capturing. These videos will be left linked down below in this video's description. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and if you are new around here, then I must ask you to hit the subscribe button, clicking the bell to be notified when these videos go live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So first up, let's talk about the design of this iPad. This iPad's design is, well, retro is a kind way of saying it, but in general, its design has not changed since the 5th generation iPad released back in 2014. While I understand it's a measure of keeping the costs low, I also think that it's high time for Apple to make a change, and I'm hoping that with the 10th generation iPad, it brings about this design change. While I am hopeful for it to look a little more like the other iPad models, I believe Apple would still recycle the design of the 3rd generation iPad Air. As I do understand that, like the iPhone SE, there still needs to be a device in the lineup which has a home button. And like that 5th generation iPad, this 9th generation model still has an unlaminated display, which is disappointing as there are other tablets on the market for cheaper that have laminated displays. And it honestly makes the device feel cheap, and it makes it stand out as the cheaper model. I feel this single change would make the iPad feel and look much better. Talking about the display, diagonally it measures in at a size of 10.2 inches with a resolution of 2160 by 1620, meaning it indeed has a Retina class pixel density of 264 pixels per inch. This iPad does not have an anti-reflective coating, and paired with its unlaminated display, it makes viewing in direct sunlight or brightly lit environments a horrible experience. It also means that this iPad is the only iPad that cannot display colours within the P3 colour spectrum, and thus is limited to sRGB. It does support Apple's True Tone technology, which maps out the lighting temperature of the environment and then matches this temperature to what is then shown on screen. One of the other unchanged aspects of this iPad is the fact that it still uses a Lightning port, making it the last iPad to support it. I think that given the changes to different aspects of the laws found in the EU, that this very well could be the last iPad that comes equipped with a Lightning port. Time will tell, but I'm certainly ready to go all in on that USB-C life. There is a smart connector on the left side of the iPad to allow it to connect to keyboards. This iPad comes powered by the A13 Bionic. Now, this system on a chip has a 6-core CPU which has 2 high performance and 4 high efficiency cores. While this is currently the least powerful of the iPad family, it certainly is no slouch and performs admirably. Perhaps the area I find this iPad may potentially have some issues is the fact that it only comes with 3GB of RAM, which certainly is a small amount of RAM considering that we are able to run the same applications as the iPad Pro models, which come with up to 16GB of RAM. It's not just about applications, but it's about multitasking and having so many things open at the same time, where I find that you do tend to have to reopen applications more often. For example, when I'm on FaceTime and I have it in picture-in-picture mode and I have say 3 applications on screen and then try to move back to another application that I may have had open say 20 minutes prior, I find that this is something that happens on this iPad more so than my other iPads. It appears Apple have taken the A13 found in the iPhone SE from 2020 and placed it into this iPad without much thought for future-proofing the device. Which means if your workload will change over time, then you may find yourself frustrated with the iPad more so than not. I have uploaded a video in which I tested and compared the performance of this iPad to other iPads and tablets, and if you would like to see this video, then I will leave it linked down below in the video's description. Otherwise, you can click the card in the top right corner to be taken to that video. One area which I am continuously impressed by is the audio these devices can pump out. Now, while it certainly doesn't sound as good as an iPad Air or those Pro models, for its price it sounds great. It's these smaller areas of the device which makes the iPad stand out amongst other devices. Here, take a quick listen and let me know what you think.
I don't know why man's calling me family all of a sudden. Like, my mum don't know your mum. Stop telling man you're my cousin. First thing he said when you saw me is, can I get a pic for the gram? I was like, nah, sorry man, I only socialise with the crew and the gang. Whoa, guess who's back? Came a long way from... Hey, I'm trying to get paid, take money, cash checks. You see the set, that's Lash, that's Dex. Young C, Young Shorty, Milcavelli. What? Yeah, get it? Yeah. I said I feel invisible. It's 100 niggas in the spot. I won't keep going. I don't think you understand me.
This iPad has an 8 megapixel rear camera which has an aperture of f2.4, which is borderline laughable and a bit meh. It's capable of recording full HD video, which is okay at best. I will say that Smart HDR does look good, to be fair, and I've certainly seen worse over the years. But due to the small aperture, it doesn't perform well when it comes to low light environments. Images taken in low light will produce a lot of noise, and the images will generally look a lot grainier than what you would find on even an iPhone from a few years ago. Which means this iPad, like the iPad Pros and the Mini, could probably do with being paired to a flash. The front camera supports Apple's center stage feature for FaceTime, which is great, meaning the front camera indeed has a 122-degree field of view which crops in to follow subjects around in these video calls. This camera, however, has an aperture of f2.4, which is the same as that found on the rear camera. And as you can see, once again, when there is little to no light, to say it struggles is quite the understatement, which I find disappointing. But if I had to choose between losing center stage, as I've said previously, I would rather have it. It's very rare to find someone using an iPad to take selfies, but FaceTime is something that I find myself doing on all iPads for that matter. So I've uploaded a video showcasing some of the still images and video footage that I got from this iPad, and if you'd like to see this video, then once again click the link down below in the video description, or alternatively there's a card in the top right corner and clicking that will take you to that video. This iPad does not support the Wi-Fi 6 standard and thus not the newer Wi-Fi 6E standard, which is a little disappointing, but let's be real, most people who are purchasing this iPad are budget conscious and will most likely be reliant on the router that is provided by their internet service provider. And most here in the United Kingdom are supplying Wi-Fi 5 routers when you sign up with them. But hey, you can't miss what you never had, right? Well, if you are looking into buying these cellular models, then it's worth noting that you will lose the GSM radio. So if you are in a developing country or are traveling around, then it might be worth your while knowing that the only iPad that currently still supports the GSM radio frequencies, and almost all the other ones that Apple have to offer, is the iPad Pro, which I do honestly find to be quite frustrating, as I can understand that most people that are purchasing this iPad are purchasing it because of the price. And a lot of people that may not have access to Wi-Fi but still have a cellular signal around in their area, especially as I say in those developing countries, are most likely not going to have access to 4G, let alone 5G. So I do think that losing the GSM radio in this iPad is a little bit of a hit, especially for those in developing countries. So now we can finally talk about the operating system, and I'm going to be honest with you all, for the price you really can't talk too badly about it. Yes, of course, I still wish for a calculator, a weather application, and even a wallet application, as I feel firstly these iPads should have had it from the very first iPad back in 2010. or when the iPhone first got them, and more so because I'm sure it would be fairly easy for Apple to be able to port over the application from, say, an iPhone and limit it to just being used in Control Center as opposed to it being a full-fledged application. Most people could probably do without the wallet application and will download other applications to suit their needs, but I still think that Apple should be including these. Multitasking on this larger display certainly feels much better than the experience that I had with the smaller iPad mini. I get nostalgic using the home button, although I do find myself naturally using the gestures more so, and swiping up to go home has really felt natural, and so I only use the home button just to be able to unlock and use Apple Pay. I think this is Apple slowly training their customers for when they do eventually remove the home button off the iPad, but who knows when that will eventually be. I love that whatever application you want to view from the App Store, it will run on this device, although if you are looking to do something a little more demanding on the device, then you honestly might want to opt for the iPad Air. And by clicking the card in the top right corner, you can go and view the video in which I reviewed that iPad Air. I love the improvements that have been made to Spotlight search. It makes finding documents, photos with people, applications, and how even searching the web before you search the web is made easier by using Spotlight search. I like that whatever I search for, it is done securely and on device, and that I'm not constantly bombarded by advertisements when I do eventually use a browser and search on the internet. This is perhaps the greatest tool that Apple have, and it's that their software experience for the most part is identical between models, which not only means that people upgrading from older devices will feel comfortable and familiar with the device, it also makes it a lot easier for Apple to upsell people, as once again the experience is almost identical no matter which iPad model you pick up. I think for its asking price of £319, it can be a bit of a hard pill to swallow, especially when compared to other budget offerings from the competition, but the fact remains that this device from a software perspective will still last a very long time, and that the applications found within the App Store are of a very high quality. If you need to have features from other devices like Thunderbolt or USB-C, better cameras, better processing, or how a better screen for a more immersive experience, then there are other models that Apple will happily sell. This iPad is available in only silver and space grey, so there are some limitations here. So if you do want more color options, then you are most likely going to have to opt for an iPad mini or an iPad Air. There is no longer a 128GB model, as it only goes from 64GB all the way up to 256GB. And because you cannot expand upon this storage, it might very well be worth your time to actually spend a little more just to get more storage, which, as I say, because this iPad is most likely going to get software support for over 5 years, you don't want to be in a position where you run out of storage. It's a good tablet and provides the iPad experience like those before it, and I ultimately feel that for most people they should look towards the iPad Air, but if you need the iPad experience and you're not fussed about performance or the latest bells and whistles, then yeah, this iPad is for you. So there you have it, the old but new, new but old, least expensive iPad. If you're new around here, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified of when a new video goes live. Why not hit me up on my social media, Instagram and Twitter, links to which can be found down below in this video's description. I will also leave live affiliate links below in the video's description, so if you would like to purchase this iPad, then you'll be able to. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.